The next big fights of Boruto and Sarada could make us rethink the whole power scaling scene of Two Blue Vortex. While the Shinjus are getting serious on consuming their instinctual targets, it's now the responsibility of the main characters to save the day. The only problem this time is the power gap. We are still not certain about the potential of Shinjus. Some say they are on Ishhiki's level, while some believe them to be on par with fused Momoshiki, which could make them easy to handle. While it might be a stretch to say that they surpass Prime Ishhiki, it's not impossible for them to be on otsutsuki level. But the way the story is being built up, it could be that the main guys, especially Boruto and Sarada, will be able to deal with them more efficiently. The first reason which makes me think this way is the villainous upbringing of these creatures. The Shinjus are only bad just because they want to devour their instinctual targets, who are the good people in the story. Moreover, their goal of devouring an otsutsuki only makes them a villain, cause they are literally going after the protagonist as well as the deuteragonist. Not to mention feeding on Boruto or Kawaki would trigger an apocalypse on the planet, but that's completely not their fault. They were just born into this world, and now they are working on what their instincts are telling them to do. A point to be noted is that they are continuously seeking knowledge and truth to make themselves more aware about this world. Like when Jura was startled to see the teamwork of Inoshika Cho, even when they were given a chance to save their lives. The Shinjus really don't understand how the humans operate. Emotions play a huge role in the decision making of every individual, but there is no way Jura and his gang would be aware of this. Apart from their ignorance of human feelings and empathy, they are apparently a part of a huge prediction which cannot be ignored. Boruto, upon returning to Konoha, made a bold claim that clock rhymes would lead to the worst possible future. It can be concluded that he was talking about these Shinjus by looking at his reaction on seeing their emergence. He had already seen this all, maybe due to some foresight jutsu that we shall be discussing some other time. But the question remains, how bad is the foreseen future going to be, and what the role of Shinjus is going to be? We shouldn't forget the prologue sequence portrays Kawaki as the main bad guy, yet he's acting all helpless and weak at the moment. So how will the story have such a dark transition, and where is everyone in the flash forward sequence? The dark part of Two Blue Vortex has already started with the death of Inogen, and unlike some people who think he may be coming back in the next chapter, I think there are way too many reasons for him to die right at this moment. The first being the double-digit curse, as the character has been dying or getting sealed on every chapter with two identical digits. Chapter 11 would be no exception, marking the end of a major side character. It would also add value to Himawari's Biju transformation, since it required her to witness the death of an ally, similar to the Mangenkyo activation of the Uchihas. The more darker segment lies within the later parts of the story, as the only dream of Naruto has been crushed, that too by his own son. The Shinjus could have some sneaky role in this as well, but before figuring that out, let's understand how the next Shinju fight of Boruto and Sarada is about to play out. Starting off with Boruto, we did see him struggling against the Shinjus when they first emerged, but does it mean he won't be able to defeat them in a one-on-one fight? Well, there is a reason why Kishimoto turned his karma into a real curse. He was getting too overpowered for the plot and needed a cooldown period to keep everything flowing smoothly. Chapter 11 could show us him following Kawaki instead of going to help out Sarada. The simple reason being Himawari's situation is now known to him, and he has no idea that Sarada is under danger too. Well, even if he knew what she is going through, he might have still went to save Himawari just cause she is inexperienced. Little did he know Kurama would return to give them a helping hand, but that might not be enough to deal with the Shinju boss. Also, Hima is all pumped to fight Jura. It could go vain for just a single reason. The whole build-up of the living god trees was more agonizing than the other villains of the Boruto series. They are the only antagonist group in the story who do not come with a time limit or tendency to turn good. Not only that, their powers stem from the juvenile Ten-Tails, which already scales them above many characters. Now, if Himawari's brand new form ends up defeating Jura, it would do injustice to the other characters such as Boruto, who spent years training to get so powerful. We shouldn't forget the Nine-Tails was formed when Hogoromo divided the Ten-Tails into 9 beast-like creatures. So saying that Himawari being a Biju, since she is literally one with Kurama, would go against a humanoid Ten-Tails won't make that much sense. The real reason for the emergence of these creatures, apart from the worst possible future as hinted by Boruto, has something to do with the development of every character. They are bound to have a more emotional impact on the plot rather than just giving us physical casualties as seen in the latest chapter. Like Sarada and Hidari could show us the true wild side of Sasuke's daughter, but she will need to keep her calm, as the life of the Shinju might be connected to her father. This would put her in a strong emotional situation where she won't be able to go all out on her enemy since the life of Sasuke would be on the line. But how likely is it for Sarada to do something remarkable against Hidari? Well, the way she dodged the Chidori and retaliated with her own makes it clear that she has done some training in the time skip. Some people are addressing Sarada to be on Jigen's level, but that's completely not the case. She just has a better hold on her abilities, unlike people like Kawaki and Code who have wasted their whole potential by relying on their otsutsuki power. Even though they both have the powers of the most renowned clan in the universe, they haven't lived their lives as otsutsukis, which is a very huge disadvantage when it comes to using their powers. They might be stronger than the shinobi world, but someone with better battle tactics could give them a hard time. That's why Boruto's time skip training was necessary to enhance his abilities and skill set. He was able to escape from the Shinju attack only because he had a good hold of his techniques, and he didn't even need to rely on his otsutsuki powers to do so. This proves that Sarada's training should have given her the capability to fight the Shinju level threats. I read somewhere that she's fighting the strongest form of Sasuke, but is able to evade and retaliate very well, which could mean that she has grown to become a Jonin or even a Kage level fighter. While this might be right, but just by dodging attacks doesn't prove that she can defeat this enormous enemy. But one thing which gives the Sarada fans some hope when it comes to witnessing her true potential is the Mangenkyo Sharingan and the unique ability that she will unlock with it. As I have explained in a lot of previous videos, the mechanism of the Mangenkyo's power is very similar to that of omnipotence. It reflects the desires of the user's heart, meaning that the ability is correlated to those emotions as well. The previous Mangenkyo users portrayed this very well, as all of their special abilities were related to some strong emotional incident. As for Obito, he has the Kamui ability, which warps objects or the user himself into another dimension. It symbolized his desire to escape the reality and the pain of his past. The Kotoama Tsuki of Shisui Uchiha was an undetectable genjutsu that alters the target's emotions and memories without their knowledge. It reflects his strong loyalty and commitment to protect the Uchiha clan from within. The power of Sarada is going to be totally different, since her emotions stem from a reality-shifting spell, something that no member of his clan had witnessed before. This means her ability would naturally have the capacity of facing the present threats of the story, which are the Shinjus. Not to mention her biggest desire was to protect Boruto and Sasuke from the lives of Kawaki, so it could also add up as a factor to her new ability. So the majestic power of Sarada basically has two strings attached. Either it will be an emotional one, which would drive her side of the plot towards a no combat type of situation, or it would be a fully offensive one, which would eventually make her realize how weak she really is. The emotional angle could give her a power inspired by the 8th mirror, a symbol of truth and justice in Japanese mythology. She might be getting Hidari out from the existential crisis by showing him the truth behind his birth and identity. It would give an easy way out to her character, as she would be backing one of the strongest enemies to her side. In this way, it would be more efficient for her to scale to the level of the broken characters, since she would be training under a 10-tails humanoid. But her ability could be disappointing too, like what if she simply unlocks Amaterasu, killing the whole hype of her new power-up. It would be a bad move on the writer's side, as he would be degrading the legacy of his favorite character by doing injustice to his daughter. So let's jump on to the offensive ability of Sarada, which is a more subtle possibility. There can be a total of 3 abilities that she could unlock with the Mangenkyo to do some real damage onto his opponents, and all of them are pretty broken. The Yata mirror symbolism could help us to crack the potential powers of Sarada's Mangenkyo Sharingan. Ishikori Domino Mikoto is the god of mirrors in Shinto. In Japanese mythology, she created the elegant Yata no Kagami mirror, which lures the sun goddess Amaterasu out of her cave and returns light to the world. So the theory is that Sarada's MS jutsu will share the name of this goddess, with the powers being mirror or reflection based, and it could have a wide variety of functionality. One of the possibility could be Sarada having the access to a personal mirror dimension. She could enter the dimension at will through her mirrors or reflections, and she could even use the reflective surfaces like water to do the same, similar to the mechanism of the Kamui ability. This could also explain why she is immune to Aida's omnipotence, since her reality is rooted in her own personal mirror dimension, unlike others. She could even have some other mirror and reflection related powers that will, for the first time in the series, make the Mangenkyu's ability relate to its original meaning, a kaleidoscope. It's a toy consisting of a tube containing mirrors and pieces of colored glass or paper whose reflections produce changing patterns when the tube is rotated. So Sarada's ability could be similar to this phenomenon, as she may be able to create infinite mirror clones that would be mere reflections of her true self. It's a symbolism to the phenomenon of two mirrors placed parallel to each other can create infinite reflections of the same object. This could even be the key to defeating Daemon if he ever becomes an enemy of the Leaf. He would be exhausted by reflecting the attacks of Sarada onto her mirror clones, as the reflections would literally never end. Talking about Daemon, it's also possible that she will be given a watered down version of his reflection ability. Just like every ninjutsu stems from a Shinjus, Sarada's ability could be a cheap copy of Daemon's power with obvious drawbacks. This yet again proves the concept of the Mangenkyu reflecting the heart's desire. Sarada might be informed about the broken power of Daemon, which makes it pretty evident that how useful it could turn out to be. So the Yata mirror looking Mangenkyu granting her the power to reflect attacks is a huge possibility. So if Sarada uses these abilities against Hidari, it would instantly give her an edge over him. The only problem would be the blindness factor of the Mangenkyu Sharingan. It's possible that, as assumed by many, she might have learned the Byakugo seal to cure the poor eyesight drawback. This would be yet another step for Sarada to be on otsutsuki level without going through the trauma that her ancestors had to witness. Even the way she dodged the attack of Hidari might be an aftermath of mastering her Mangenkyu power of reflection. So these potential abilities would easily scale her to Kage level and could turn out to be really helpful against the Shinjus. She may not be able to defeat her father turned Ten Tails, but could definitely get an MVP moment of her own. Not to mention her fight with Hidari won't get her any strong reinforcements like Boruto or Kawaki, since both of them were informed about Hima's situation in the last chapter. Now the involvement of Boruto in the Jura fight, if he deals with this karma accident, can highly impact the plot forward. Kawaki, as we know, stands no chance against Jura, and Himawari is still at a very early stage to give some real damage to the Shinju. Even though she is literally a Biju now, it's the Ten Tails versus Nine Tails battle. Boruto would certainly need to interfere. Now the thing with the Shinjus is that they are newly born curious creatures who try to seek their answers in this weird world. Not only is everything upside down, at least in the case of their prime targets, due to reality shifting, but the phenomenons that are making them scratch their heads are also very captivating. Like in chapter 9, Jura was fascinated to see the teamwork of Inoshika Cho and their desire to protect Himawari at the cost of their own life. Normally a person's survival instincts should have made them fulfill the demand of the intruders to save themselves, but looking at how Team 10 reacted left Jura completely confused. It's basically because he doesn't understand emotions like human empathy, but the fact that he has some knowledge on teamwork and similar things only means that there is a root of his wisdom that we are unaware about. And by looking at how he thinks humans would operate, it seems like his preordained beliefs belong to the Otsutsuki clan. Firstly, because the Ten Tails has a history with them, so they may have evolved differently over the ages after consuming so many such creatures. The genetic data of each Otsutsuki must have overwritten the chakra fruit as well as its seeds, which eventually become the Ten Tails beast. Or it could be simply because of Ishhiki's DNA overwriting the tail beast, which is how Clawgrams were born, further leading to the formation of these Shinjus. Either way, their ideologies are more aligned to the Otsutsuki clan, whether it's the goal of evolution or the act of ruthlessness. Some more things that amaze these creatures is the truth behind their existence and why in the world their instincts are telling them to devour a certain human being. Jura says that upon absorbing Himawari, it will be clear to him that why the Nine Tails chakra is being released from her. Another thing to be noticed is that he already knew Naruto is the Jinchuriki of a tail beast. This knowledge was given to him by his instincts, but it's still a mystery that why he specifically went for Naruto. While the earlier theories hinted at the reason being Kawaki's chakra chakra, acting as the key to Jura's birth. It seems like it has something to do with Kurama instead. All the humans turned Shinjus were instinctually attracted to the person who had spent the most time with their counterpart. But since Jura is literally the 10 tails on 2 feet, he was attracted to his own kind. It also adds sense to the point that why these Shinjus are consciously one as the 10 tails. The species seems to be really connected to their own kind, only because they have been collectively facing a huge amount of torture and tragedy from the Otsutsuki clan. This shared experience could be one of the factors for the Shinjus to share their spirit. However, the human factor could lead to the redemption of one of them, and you can check out these videos of mine later to find out why it would be Hidari. All in all, the curiosity of Shinjus could make them change their plans for a temporary period of time. This includes the instinctual gut as well as the ultimate goal of evolution. So what if, to examine the true nature of Himawari's Biju power, Jura would decide to kidnap her? The 10th opening of the anime acts as a strong basis for this possibility, since Boruto can be seen saving Himawari from an enemy. This would not be the first time when an opening or ending theme would end up as a foreshadowing for a huge event. This abduction of Himawari would also force Kawaki to join hands with Boruto that he otherwise would have refrained from. So a development arc of Boruto and Kawaki as a Himawari rescue mission would be a really interesting addition to the story. On top of that, Jura is the boss of Shinjus, so upon taking hold of Himawari, Hidari could also be leaving his plan of absorbing Sarada. This would make Himawari the main driving force of the story for a while, taking us a step closer to the worst possible future. So to understand how the story will continue from this point, we will need to bring back another pile of humiliation, the most disrespected character followed by Kawaki, which is none other than Code. He's about to be the Code of Kawaki's new power-up, but let's first get into what's about to trigger him. The last time Kawaki got a power-up was when the life of Naoto was in danger. Looking at how Kishimoto has drawn a parallel between Himawari and Naoto from the side of Jura and how important she is to Kawaki, it's pretty clear that upon seeing her in danger, or more likely kidnapped, is enough to turn on the bulb in the mind of the deuteragonist. Kawaki would realize that he will need to get more powerful, otherwise he wouldn't even be relevant in the story, making his Otsutsuki weapon an epitome of wasted potential. His first choice would be to go to Amado and get these neck weights. You heard it right. This scarf could actually be neck weights, similar to the ones worn by Rock Lee in the anime. I'm soon bringing a full video on how Amado powers up Kawaki, but only 27% of you will get notified since the rest are not subscribed. So please subscribe to the page to never miss any uploads from now on. So the entire Code and Kawaki theory stems from how the failed vessel of Ishhiki has been acting as an activation code to many characters as well as the abilities of some of them. He first activated Aida as well as Daemon, acting as their code. He then encoded the 10 tails with his DNA, which eventually triggered the Shinju awakening. This again made him the code behind their fateful formation. Not to mention, he was the main reason Momoshiki took over Boruto and Kawaki got his karma back when they first had a fight. All these instances prove that Kishimoto has been using him to trigger a character or his power. It might even be related to Ishhiki's karma, since Kawaki was also the reason behind the activation of a world-boggling ability, the Omnipotence. There is a whole theory on why these incidents might have something to do with the cells of Shibai that Amado has secretly planted in Kawaki and Code, but I will discuss that in a future video. Right now, let's assume Code was actually meant to be the vessel of Ishhiki or Otsutsuki. He has a karma which is dud, meaning it's non-functional, but since it came to being from an Amado experiment, it won't make sense to assume it to be a dud. So what if the karma of Code is possessing the missing code of Ishiki's karma? That would give Kawaki the full control of the Otsutsuki's powers. It makes sense because in the future, his outfit resembles Code a lot, and he's even flexing his karma like never before. I believe he somehow fused both Code and his karma into his body, which is what unlocked the true essence of Ishhiki inside him. So the future Kawaki might be a lot more stronger than the present one, which is why Boruto was forced to use his Otsutsuki powers. The change in outfit also hints at his ideology shift, which could be the sole reason behind the destruction of the shinobi world. His grudge against shinobis might be an egoistic approach of doing things, and by looking at how he mentioned the Daikokuten dimension, chances are Himawari has also been sealed in that realm after getting released from the captivity of Jura, and the only way for Kawaki to free her was by surpassing the Shinjus by a great margin. Assuming these 10 tails evolved rivalries have not surpassed Ishhiki easily explains how fused Kawaki would effortlessly defeat them. Not to mention, if he is somehow able to defuse their claw marks, he would get the chance to absorb them, making him the greatest destroyer in the shinobi world. It would help him heavily in his otsutsuki eradication plan, but he would start his hit list with the shinobis instead, maybe after gaining the history of the planet through the Shinju absorption, which is what promoted the belief of exterminating the shinobi age in his mind. He could have thrown the Konoha residents into a spare dimension, explaining why there is nobody present in the future. The more a character gets humiliated, the more powerful glow up he gets. Kawaki and Code, being the embodiments of the same otsutsuki, are likely destined to be fused in this manner. One thing that I don't see anyone talking about is the existence of more otsutsukis in the story, since without them, the goal of Kawaki doesn't make any sense. The story needs to extend beyond planet Earth, which would certainly need the debut of some new otsutsuki members. The missing tablets and statues are the biggest teaser of upcoming characters, and you can check out these videos to find out more about it. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stuff. I will see you next time.